had some mistakes, by the way. 300K.
Ah.
Yeah, because I'm always listening. No shit. I saw that the other day and I'm like, oh, the guy.
Yeah, nah, it's cool, man. Yeah, congrats to Marley and.
Let me put my phone on silent.
Oh yeah, that's good. That's good.
Real quick.
Get that. Yeah, we often I often like just sort of don't. I don't know. I'm weird with wins. It's like I want to celebrate stuff, but at the same time, it's like I don't know. I'm just always like focused on the next thing. Like not. Yeah, it's a. But sometimes I should step back and maybe appreciate smaller wins.
It's a dub because for me on Spotify when I hop on and I look, the first thing you see is just the numbers anyway, and I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, yeah.
Shout out to the guys.
Yeah, some numbers.
Was that like last week? Was it?
You don't even know. I'm not sure, man. I don't follow like that as closely. I feel like my dad actually knows numbers before I know stuff. Like he was always following Juice.
Oh, word? What? Yo, it's a bag of the.
Yeah, he's always like, yo, it's all about to hit like 5 mil or whatever. I was like, oh yeah, okay, fair enough.
Cheers, Dad.
But man, it's been a minute.
It's been a minute.
This is, I think the last time was September, and we're in December now. So
it would have been start of Sept. Yeah.
Yeah. What's? I mean, we've both been busy. Let's start with you. What's been keeping you busy?
What's been happening? Damn, September. We launched Wildflower.
Huge.
So that's been getting a lot of traction. What else did we launch? We launched Soiree, a little rooftop party that's been making rounds, and then we've subdivided Honeycut to Hive and Honeycut. So Honeycut's going to be more. I think we mentioned this earlier in previous episodes. It's just going to really focus more on the touring side of things. Because once international borders are done, we really want to do like live artist shows as well as like the DJ day parties type of stuff. But it'll be more so for bigger scale events. And then more of the sub brands that we'd created this year because of the downfall have now been separated to do their own thing so that they can fully flesh out and do their own thing and take a whole new direction. So that's been good. We've expanded the team. Team's a bit bigger now, so less on my plate, but more on my plate at the same time.
Yeah, I know how you feel.
But other than that, man, life's good. I've been forced to DJ more now.
I've been seeing that, bro. A lot of tagging going on.
So shout out Dave and Tabs for finally telling me I need to stop being behind the scenes a bit. So
yeah, you got to get out there sometimes.
There's a lot, man. I think it'll just flow out as we go.
Of course, yeah.
Like,
put you on the spot there a bit.
Are the key points, and yeah, man, it's been good, bro. It's been great. Can't really complain. What about yourself? What's been happening?
Yeah, man, just been like really, really busy. Lots of people reaching out for me to work with them, which has been amazing. Like just recording a lot of the hip hop and R&B that's here. I guess mostly the hip hop, but yeah, that's been great. Obviously just focusing on my core artists that I'm working with, Marley and Tommy. Put out
congrats on Pest Control.
Thank you. Yeah, that was a big process to get 22 songs to sound as like up to scratch and like as cohesive, and not make it sound.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm only halfway through.
Oh, dude. So. Okay, so that's the thing. Let's talk about that because like I've been speaking to a lot of people and I've never really expected anyone to actually listen to the whole thing through. To be honest with you, it's not really how the project was even made. It was sort of made over a long.
Go into that process for us.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was just like we didn't really sit. Like we conceptualized it maybe early on this year, but I think some of the songs were written almost like maybe. Halfway through some of the songs were being written like, June, July last year. So it wasn't just like a year process. It was like 18 months. And we probably conceptualized, Pest Control as the project at the start of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And so obviously songs were made in blocks of time. It wasn't like one, like, okay, cool, we're making the album now. It was kind of just like, we've got all these songs and we're just going to get out as much as we can, and not to say, I mean, it was refined down to 22 songs, but this is probably like 100 demos. Like, I don't know. We write a lot of music, you know what I mean? You sort of can do that in hip hop a bit. And so, yeah, I never really expected anyone to be like, sit down and listen to the whole thing. But to my surprise, a lot of people have been like, oh, man, it's amazing. Like, shout out even like Saudi. He was like, oh, yeah, it was amazing start to finish. And I was like, oh, what? I was like, I don't even listen to like an hour 8 of my favorite artists, you know. So,
that's what I was about to say. I'm glad it wasn't too long. Because 22 songs, I've seen Chris Brown put 22 songs and it's 2 hours long, but how you guys kept, I think it was that hour 5?
No, it was an hour 8. Yeah, close. So, yeah, that's the other thing. We did sequence it, so it was like we did sequence the whole thing. It wasn't like we just threw them in random order. So that took time. So we did sequence it so you can experience it like that. But some people have been like, yeah, I'm listening to the whole thing because, you know, they're at work, or, you know, people who might listen to an hour podcast, just put the album on and it's kind of like just there. But then other people, which is sort of more my vision of how I thought it was going to be consumed, was it was like you find a block of songs you like, you smash those, and then maybe you move on. You know what I mean? That's kind of how I envisioned it, because like if I was the consumer of it, which I am a little bit, because I do listen to my own music. That's kind of how I would, you know, that's how it was made. We're making these blocks of songs. I was smashing them and loving them, and then like, you know, you'd move on, and then we make more stuff. And but you know, that's the beauty of putting out art, is that you really can't control how it's going to be perceived and how it's going to be consumed. And so it's really interesting talking to people. And yeah, shout out to everyone that's like, you know, we're not people that do big numbers or anything like that. You know, we don't really get playlisted or, you know, anything, which is fine. We're just here to like put out stuff that we think's really good, and hold ourselves accountable and hold ourselves to the highest standard of music, and have a lot of love for it. So any like support that we get is really, really, I know people say that all the time, but like I truly like mean that.
Definitely goes a long way, man.
But yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that was good to talk about, actually. Thanks for bringing that up. Forgot about that. That's like one of like 30 things that are going on at the moment. So yeah.
Other than pest control, what else have you been working on? Because that was one of the more recent ones, I think, couple
I'm
weeks.
back working with Otia on something that they don't even... We're just making songs at the moment. They're not really sure. I don't have any info on like what's happening, but we're just making songs. Love those guys. It's like really, really professional. Like, yeah, really, really professional dudes. Like, if you want to take any like notes on what they do, I would, yeah, as a Perth artist, I'd be looking at them. You know, again, not people that are, you know, making super huge moves yet, but they will be. Just because of the way that
right first.
Yeah, they're already operating like, you know, top tier people at the like with the, you know, the thing, their output, and you know the way that they do things, and it's a really good experience working with them, and it's really been nice to watch them grow, because I've been quite a part of their, you know, their journey from transitioning to people who were kind of doing it as a hobby into like, cool, this is like what we want to make as a career, and that's kind of been a really nice thing, because I feel like I've been you know, not to toot my own horn or anything, but I've been someone that's I've been sort of that intermediate for people a little bit, like they've been doing music and then they've sort of find me, and then I just have been able to help them sort of take that next level and that step. And, you know, I guess, you know, the inner workings, like that's, you know, I take a lot of pride in that like really, you know, you don't have to be in the spotlight all the time for that to stroke your ego. Like that really does stroke mine. And, yeah, that's been good. But,
dope.
Yeah. What else we got? I guess let's talk a topic that we were
recently discussing
about festivals and local talent, especially what's going on now.
Very valid point. Like, I think recently on socials there's been a big discussion in regards to, I guess, not only local festivals but local promoters and event managers, etc., not, I guess, putting on local talent and or giving those opportunities or creating spaces for those type of things to exist. And I thought it was definitely a dope point to really touch on, because you know, it's something we can discuss from two different perspectives.
Absolutely.
I mean, why don't you go from the artist perspectives, because I feel like the majority of people that do listen are either creators or artists or content driven output people.
I think you have a more interesting perspective, but I think mine will possibly be shorter.
That's why I want you to get into it first, so that you can then ask questions. In between.
I feel like I'm the one always talking about anyway.
Yeah,
that's all good. Yeah, I think for me, I just feel like I understand where like local artists are coming from, of like, hey, like, you know, people should be doing this and that and whatnot, but I don't know. Like the bottom line is like nobody owes you anything, you know? Like nobody owes you anything, and it is a music industry. There is industry attached to it. It is something that people need to turn a profit. And so you can't be pointing the finger at other people and trying to be like, oh, this is not happening because of this and that. You know what I mean? Perth, it's tricky. I feel like as a mid-tier artist here, you as someone who's a mid-tier artist, it's quite difficult because, you know, like obviously if you're a mid-tier artist in Sydney and Brisbane, it's a lot easier. And I'm talking about like pre-COVID, obviously, but it's a lot easier, you know, to be booked for shows. You know, if you're living in Brisbane and there's a festival or show in Sydney, obviously it's a lot more economically viable to book that person than it is someone from Perth. Yeah. So, you know, a lot of these festivals that are, you know, they've got their headliners in their mid-tier, they're booking those. But if you're like a Spacey Jane or a Shadow or something like that and you're in Perth, you know, and you're really big, then it's like obviously, you know, it's that's a whole other yeah, it's a whole other thing. But yeah, I just think, look, yeah, fair enough, but you know, I don't know. I think it's up to the community to make local artists profitable. And so obviously it starts with local artists making a product that is as good as what's out there in other parts of Australia and the world, which I think is starting to happen. And then it's up to people in Perth that are going to gigs and stuff to then go to those shows and show like promoters of festivals and stuff that okay, there's a market
there's
here.
a demand.
There's a demand here. But if that doesn't happen, then you can't just be like, oh, if like the festivals are there, they're there to make money. They're not going to like, despite what they may say, you know, and it's not me trying to be disrespectful, but they're not here to like do things for the culture. That's up.
Can you repeat that again, please?
I'm just saying the festivals aren't here to do things for the culture. That's up for us to do. You know, they're here to go, cool, that's profitable. Let's tap into that. You know what I mean? Whether that's right or wrong, it doesn't matter. This is reality.
Facts.
That's it. That's all I got to say.
Now, I completely agree with you. There's one word that you said at the beginning of that where you said bottom line. People, like, from my perspective as a, I guess, event manager, we don't throw anything unless the bottom line makes sense. So if we don't think we're going to make some type of money from it, we're not going to throw it. Because, like, running an event is so costly. Like, can you imagine you go from venue booking fee or venue hire fees? You got to pay out all the acts, right? Imagine you get someone to headline a show, right? You pay them X amount, but you can't get your return on the artist fee from door sales. What's the point of running the show? You know what I mean? And then also the promoter's business also goes under. If you're not selling tickets and people aren't hype and it's not busy, one failed show could mean the end of your business also. Especially
it's a ripple effect
Perth,
for sure. And you know, from
man.
I mean, that's why Honeycut's so sorry to butt in, but that's why Honeycut's so successful, is because like every show is like, you know, you're not missing steps there. It's like,
not necessarily, man. Like, what people don't understand is it took us 2.5 years to get to a point where we can actually make money.
Right, yeah.
Right? All the gigs that we'd done up until middle of last year were break even or out of pocket.
Sorry, I meant successful in the fact that like you're not throwing anything that's like
that's not selling.
That's not. That's not even like that's not like not a good vibe. That's what I meant by that. So by success, I meant that.
That's also another key point. We built our own community, right? When we first started, there wasn't a market for it. There was interest, right? That's what made us go into it, because I knew I enjoyed it. I knew at least 20, 30 people that I knew would enjoy that type of sound, as well as my close circle of friends. And I was like, look, if I can get 100, 150 people that enjoy this, we can really start something. And based on the post on social media, I think it was on Marley's post, someone was also saying it's also up to the artist to build their community and do their own shows, because most event managers aren't going to run them for you unless they feel like they can successfully sell it out. And if it doesn't, the margins are usually not good enough for someone to take the risk to then throw the show. So I do feel for the, I guess, like you said, mid-tier artist who doesn't get those opportunities locally, but they also need to understand in Perth, the Perth market is its own market completely, right? For example, we sell way more tickets East Coast than we do in Perth. For like the same artist, same ticket price, same everything.
Wow, that says something, right? Doesn't it? Yeah.
Some instances we can raise ticket prices East Coast because the demand is that high and the community is that high, and you don't have to be something that's hype or that's the cool thing to do. People genuinely go out because it's like they like the music, or they've liked the rollout, or there's something that's drawn them into the show. And it's crazy. Like, yeah, I find it crazy how local I guess the local community doesn't support anything local until it's bigger elsewhere. That's also another
Do you
point.
think that's something that's specific to Perth, or do you think that other cities find that as well?
Other cities find it. I find that it's the same. Like, I've lived quite a few places around the world. It's a similar trend, but I feel like it's worse in Perth, just because of the proximity. We don't really have proximity to another big state that we can, like Melbourne and Sydney. 45 minutes, I'm on a plane, $100 return. I can, I'm close, if that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense.
Agree. Yeah,
but with Perth being so isolated and being so, I guess, distant from any other, I guess, capital city, it kind of makes it hard because we are always following what everyone else is doing.
Yeah,
and never
well,
really
we're not
ourselves.
Yeah, we're not in the city. I mean, from my perspective of being like, in the like, not that you're not like in the. We're far away from like the headquarters of stuff, like Spotify and all that sort of stuff. It's like that's where all the headquarters are. That's where all the A&Rs are. I've had people from labels tell me like, hey, if you were doing what you were doing like over east, you'd be getting, a lot of attention from A&Rs and stuff. But they're just not. There's no like A&Rs living here, like So but I mean, I guess you can take that as a negative, or you can use it as a positive. You know what I mean? It's like you can go, oh, that sucks. Like, we're disadvantaged, or you can do something about it. For me, I feel like it's pushed me to keep striving to create a better product. To create a more high quality product. Without like. I've had people come here, like even I've been working a little bit with Coterie, who's a band, and they're just tracking vocals and stuff for them, not doing like any production or mixing and stuff, but they're just like, and we hit it off and had a really good, time, and they're just like, well, we always get sent off to Sydney and stuff because that's, where we're told we should go, but it's like, they've come here and they're like, well, this is like, we're getting a good product out of here, as good as product as we are over east, you know what I mean? And so if we start to create that level, raise the bar to that level and, and even further, you know what I mean? And that's why I think like Axia, you have that, in the mid-tier struggle, but if you are like a Spacey Jane or something like that and you're doing stuff that's incredible, then you can sort of get some form of spotlight of like, oh, hey, you are in Perth. And I've had people in Sydney like people like Tucker from the Fundamentals tell me, he's like, if your stuff making enough noise in Perth that it reaches to Sydney, people will sort of be like, oh, well, they must be doing something good because, they're not in any close proximity. So, as much as it is a disadvantage, it can be used to an advantage, but you can't be waiting around and making excuses. You just have to, you're not in life, you're not the dealer. You just play the cards that you're getting dealt.
Facts.
Not a corny analogy, but
it's so true. And like to add to that, I also feel like where Perth doesn't also understand, just outside of music and entertainment, Perth is 5 to 10 years behind the East Coast. Infrastructure, population, I guess government spending or injection into the creative arts. There's not a whole lot of opportunities. And on top of that, in terms of capital cities, I think we're only bigger than Adelaide. Am I right? Or Darwin?
I don't know.
Either way,
but no, we are a smaller tier city. You know what I mean?
So there's not a whole lot. Yes, there's a lot. I feel like right now there's a pyramid. There's a lot of lower tier artists bubbling, right? There's a nice middle tier that's evolving, and there's really very few at the top artists that I feel can really not only sell their own shows, but get booked for tours or get booked for support acts.
I would
because
agree.
They've put in a lot of time. They've put in the reps, or they did it themselves. Like, for example, Adrian, him and his team run their own shows. And like, they got sick and tired of being overlooked. I've had chats with his manager in terms of like, we're not being booked for openings and this, so we're going to do it ourselves. Once promoters and venues and other key players in the industry see that you're doing your own shows, you're getting numbers down, yes, one or two things could be fixed, that's when people want to jump on board and want to help and bring effort, because you've done something yourself, you've put in the initiative, and there's now that community or that space where it's like, this person will bring 50 people.
When they see you when you seem to be being proactive, essentially, which is a big guess a key word.
And consistently proactive too. It's not just you did one show and then you're quiet for 5-6 months. It's like, cool, we did this and then we did a wedding or we did this. Whatever it is, just getting those reps and getting your name out there. Now I see them getting booked with San Cisco, with this, that, and the third. They're doing during COVID too.
Yeah,
you know?
huge.
So it's like
massive.
That's a way to look at it and see how other people are getting booked or how they're getting more shows.
Shout out Asian real quick.
Yeah, just being proactive, because people want to be a part of something when they see someone else is invested into it.
Totally.
Because if you don't believe it, no one else is gonna.
How can you expect anyone else to? Totally. And that's not even just on the booking front as well. That's like even on like the music industry, like in the business side, like back in the day, like 70s, 80s, and 90s or whatever, even maybe the early 2000s, labels would go around and they would sign stuff that they feel like they could develop. And it's like, that's not even really happening as much anymore. They sort of want to see that you have something going on in the first place, and that's why I think a lot of this distribution business has taken off, because, the music industry is quite accessible to a lot of people now. And so there's sort of more low risk deals of distribution being offered rather than like signing a contract. But that's the whole thing now these days. It is possible to do a lot of it yourself if you're willing to put the legwork in. And, sometimes you might have no other choice, especially if you're in Perth, like there's, unless you're, making serious waves, you're probably not going to get a label deal. And even if you did, it's probably not going to be a very good one. And so you got to work out, you got to build your team yourself, and find people around you that want to, which we've talked about before, that want to like not stay. I don't like the term stay in your lane, because that, for me, that feels like, it feels like a stagnant term, but it's like people that want to fulfill their roles, not like us, we're in the spotlight essentially, or in front of a camera right now, but we're not in, we're not trying to like, cool, now we're going to be like, we're going to start rapping or something like, like it's, we do what is required, you know what I mean? It's not about like, your ego or anything like that. It's just about doing, what you like to do, and two, what's required in your system and in your assembly line that you've created.
And on that point, you just sparked something for me also. It's like, if you as an artist feel like you're not getting the opportunities, take a step back and ask yourself, would you book yourself?
Wow. Yeah, huge.
Right? Would you really book yourself? Let's say you have 2 songs out. I can't really, like, a lot of artists, when I said like the triangle, I feel like a lot of lower tier artists may have 2 or 3 songs out, max. That's not a 15-minute set in terms of being booked.
Yeah, no.
Right? So entertainment-wise, from my perspective as a I guess, event manager, it's like, if I'm booking you, I need to see, one, do you have enough catalog to entertain people for 20 minutes? Right? Maybe even 30 minutes. If you can't, why am I putting you on there? I'm better off putting a playlist or a DJ on, because people will actually come for that, because it's familiar stuff as well. So it's like, take a step back, ask yourself, if you were on the other side, would you book yourself based on what is known to be out in terms of content and product, music, whatever? Because if not, then you need to take a step back and think, okay, how do I then make myself more appealable or more marketable to be able to get these opportunities?
Totally agree. You need to show that you need to show that you have an audience, you have an engaged audience. And if you don't have an audience, then ask yourself why, you know what I mean? It's like, is that, reiterating the point I made earlier, it's like, really, nobody owes you anything. Like, you really, really have to just, hold yourself accountable and, do stuff that you love, of course. But, it's not always down to like, bad luck or that, or it's like, you got to create it yourself, and it's hard. This is not an industry for the faint-hearted. Like, if you think you're gonna do some crazy stuff, and you might get lucky a little bit, but it's like, it's not the music industry, and I can say this, with great confidence, because I've experienced it. It's not a linear thing. Like, you might get a lot of momentum, a lot of success, and then it might drop off, and then you might have to work really hard to gain it again, and then you might, change avenues, and crazy stuff happens.
Bro.
Discussing off camera, which we won't discuss here. But it's stuff happens, and like, you just
You just gotta roll the punches.
You gotta roll
keep,
with it
keep
and
pushing,
and do it. But I think that was a cool thing to address. Just the local talent thing, and it's like everyone to Perth out here. I know we haven't spoken to everyone in a while, but just like keep pushing and keep holding yourself accountable and like keep
opportunities will come. Like
yeah,
it's only gonna get better here on out because like Perth's now shown that they can compete or put something out.
Yeah.
That's translatable to East Coast or what else is coming out there. So yeah. What's next? That was a nice topic. I quite enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was good.
I haven't seen you like other than like when we met up for that workshop thing. What's been new? Like I know we said that before.
Yeah,
but
no, for sure.
Has there been anything like interesting or any new developments with your skill sets or
that's a good topic. Yeah, I don't know. I guess the main thing is we're just every day getting a lot more confident in what I'm doing. As a producer and an engineer, and a manager. Yes,
sorry to cut you off.
No, don't please.
What are your thoughts on this whole ARIA Awards situation with like a lot of musicians being snubbed while lists putting out high quality?
Music? To be honest with you, I don't really know a lot. I don't really pay a whole lot of attention.
I didn't really keep tabs on it either, but there was a whole ruckus when that happened.
There's always going to be hectic stuff going on with that. Like obviously it's an organization, and look, I can't like say a lot because it wouldn't be like a well-informed opinion, so I have to be careful, but there's probably always going to be people who should be getting recognition that aren't. And
it's part of the game.
And that's why I guess, again, it's, that's why the consumer has a really big role in like making noise. And, if you want to support something, like go the lengths to support it, buy merch, do that stuff, like if you're really into something, like show it, and like, cause the artists need it. Like none of us are like, as much as people might, rappers
you make it.
Yeah.
Rappers ain't making bread, bro.
Nah, you're not. Nah. So yeah, support it. So yeah, on the topic of that, I'm not really sure. Like I look at what happens with the ARIAs, but it's not. I mean, I don't really watch it and stuff. There's no disrespect to them or anything. I don't know. I'm just like working. Like I'm working to hope. And like obviously, like it would be, like my ambitions, of course, of like it'd be nice to have like an ARIA or a Grammy or whatever. But it's not like it's not something I'm always like, oh, that's like the accolades are like the be all end all. I just want to be happy. Like I just want to be happy with the stuff that I'm working on, and and if I'm happy with the stuff that I'm working on and it's sustainable for me, that's cool. I'm cool with that. Like honestly, and the rewards and the accolades are a bonus. I didn't always think like that. When I was like 20, I'm 24 next week. When I was 20 or 19 and 20, and I was starting to get a bit of success. It did a little while. Like I was like having all these, and I'm not saying it's bad to dream about those stuff, but when you get that tunnel vision, which we've talked about before, like it can get a little bit rough. Yeah, I don't know. You can just lose sight of why you're really doing stuff. But I feel like I'm a good. That's I guess going back to your original question of like what's new is like every day I feel like I'm making my mental more sustainable in this industry as well. Of like. Manage expectations really well and just
that's huge. Like managing expectations.
Yeah, I'm like content. I'm content, but I haven't lost any of my work ethic. I still really want to work hard, but I'm I'm rewarded by things that aren't just like numbers and awards and money. It's actually
it's more intrinsic.
It's like intrinsic. Yeah, exactly. And so that's a big development. As well as just getting better at what I'm doing and like noticing that I'm getting better at what I'm doing, and it's nice, it's like using your ego for good.
Yep.
You can like it's not bad having an ego. Like I have
necessary.
an ego. Like some people are like you're humble. Like no, yeah, like maybe in public, but like ask Marley, bro. Like when I do something good, I'm like running and fuck, I'm so dope.
Yeah, no, but yo,
that's good.
You need
do that. Keep your ego private.
That.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Use it for good. It's like a fucking superpower, man. Use your ego as like a fucking superpower. Use it for good. Like I run around telling myself I'm dope, but I'm not going to use it to like blind myself from holding myself accountable. And that's where people like go off the rails, where it's like I'm dope, like but you're not really.
But you're not really.
I'm always pushing to be better. That's like I can say that. And the other thing actually I want to speak about that's put me onto this is that like I think it's also the way that I've now conceptualized approaching music of like I don't actually personalize any of my art. So like when I make music, right? So this is something I've
nice.
conceptualized like quite recently is like when I make art, it's like I make this art. Yes, it's my ideas, and yes, it's something that I'm physically doing. But once it's created, it's no longer mine. It's like something that's just there, and it's like that way you don't get attached to stuff, and it's like you don't get like wrongly attached to stuff, and
it helps you manage expectations.
It helps you manage it, and also like when you're in sessions, you know, I might make a beat, and then someone might just not be feeling it, and I'm like, oh, that's cool, like no worries. This is just like something that I made. It's not mine. It's not. It's like you know. I think it's like younger artists that struggle with this a little bit, and it's like you know, or you might lay a verse down or lay something down, and it's like, it's like not really working or something. But some people get really like funny about it. They're like, oh, but and this is mine. And it's like, no, it's not yours. Yes, it came from your ideas, but once you've expressed it, it's no longer. If you think of it as like it's no longer mine, it's just a piece of art, and it's kind of like disposable, in a way, without trying to disenfranchise it. But it just helps you, I think, be more. It'll help you to actually make a better product, because if you're not if attached to it personally and your ego's not attached to it, it actually makes you look at it and analyze it better. And when I say analyze it, I don't mean like, oh, it's good because it's got this drum sound on it. I mean as in like, is it actually making you feel something? Which is the only thing you should be asking. And you're like, is this actually making me feel something? Or am I just saying that because it's mine or because I think it's mine? So
that goes into self-awareness.
Yeah.
Like outside of everything else we've discussed today or even ever on this podcast, I still feel self-awareness is the most pivotal and key part, because
I think that's why we connect, because
once you realize that, it makes life, I don't want to say easier, but it makes it bearable, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it helps you achieve different things that you thought you may not have been able to, and I feel like it helps you progress quicker and not get stuck. And yeah, I have a lot of confidence in what I do, because when I feel something, I know it's real. It's not clouded by my psyche and my. So yeah, if I have any advice for anybody like getting into making music or making music and struggling to know like, or if they think it's good or not, that's what I mean by hold yourself accountable. It's like, you know.
So question, what happens when, like, this is now me as a music fan asking a question, right? You'll hear fans or listeners or audiences, they might like your worst piece of work. For example, you think like you put something out, it's meant to just be like a little whatever, but like people really like, you know what I mean? And it trailblazes.
Juice.
And you're like, what the fuck?
Juice. Not to say that was my worst piece of work or anything like that, but that's funny that you say that. I mean, I would never put anything out that I thought was bad. I'd never think that, but that's funny. Like, that's a good example. What you're explaining is a good example of like, I was 19. I'm 24 next week, and I was 19 when I made that, or you know, end of like around this time when I was 4 years ago, and the beat was called. That beat was called "This Beat Is Trash," and I just put. I'm not joking. I'm not joking. It was called "This Beat Is Trash." It had like the cover photo, because I always upload. I still to this day upload all my demos and stuff on SoundCloud just privately, as probably a lot of people do. And the photo of it was like that. Who's the guy? Eric and Andre, and the guy. Is it Andre or whatever? Anyway, he plays Morpheus in one of the skits, and he's like, Morpheus drinking 40s in a death casket, and it's like a close-up photo of him. And I just put Biggie vocals over it, and then I played it to Brandon, and I was like, haha, look at this. Because at this time, people don't realize is like, well, they might realize, but I think is that 99% had just came out.
So like
obviously, and that's
the feeling I get from it.
So that just came out, and this is why I always tell people like, all I am is a professional regurgitator. That's all I feel like I am. I'm a professional regurgitator. I'm not like nothing you do is. I'm sorry, nothing you do is original anymore. I'm just, nah.
Facts.
Well, you know, anyway, there's like a dark side of it, but. So that had just come out, and I was like, cool, I really like the sound, and I sort of knew how to. I mean, Cater's in FL, and I'm in Ableton, so that's a different sound. But like, I sort of knew like what that sound, and I kind of wanted to do it. I like the dancing, and rapping over dance beats actually quite hard. There's only like a select few I feel
Mick
that can.
Jenkins is one of the few that does it well.
Yeah, exactly. That can pull it off, and so I played it to Brandon as a joke, Brandon Chiseko, and he was like, dude, give me this. I was like, yeah, sure. I took the vocals off, and like, I think we made the song in like 10 minutes. And then I was just like, dude, I knew nothing, and I just like put it up. We put it up on SoundCloud.
Was that because of the feeling? Because you thought it was saved as trash beat, but he heard it.
No, because once he put the vocals on, and I was like, I remember like finishing that song, like, and when I knew like finishing, it was like at that time what I thought was finishing. That people forget that song isn't even mastered. The mix is so quiet. There's a really weird shit that happens in the middle of it, but yet it's my most the thing is about to tick 6 million streams. So like, that's the thing. It's like, you know, and I'm not saying that, like, obviously I'm happy that I can make things to a high standard now, but it's like, it's not the be all and end all. Like, the thing just makes people, it's raw feeling. People feel good to that song. They have to actually turn it up because it's quieter, it's quieter and everything else. It's not mastered, bro. It's not mastered.
Yeah.
And so like, yeah, and then like I just remember feeling, and like we didn't know, like I didn't know anything about the industry. Like this is like pre-Ziggy and like pre any Triple J, like this is pre any really success. This is like my first bit of success, and we put it on SoundCloud, and there was a lot of local, like dope local reception. People actually coming up to me like, "Dude, this is ridiculous," and I'm like, "Oh, this is cool." And then we ended up, I think this is like before you could actually just anyone could put stuff on Spotify, and then we put it on Spotify, and then like it sat on Spotify just like doing nothing for like maybe 4 or 5 months, and then one day I think it's like just in December the 2017 it like or sometime it just like hit it, like I was like, oh, it's in the viral 50 playlist. No PR, no like promotion, no nothing, knew nobody. Someone on Spotify just looked at it and was like, what the hell? Or the algorithm picked up. I'm like, this thing is like, because like it's funny, the song is like structured like a hit as well, but we didn't know anything about. I didn't know anything about songwriting, nothing about that. But there's like when you listen to it, there's like a break between like the first hook and the second verse. Like it just shit we were doing by absolute chance, absolute chance, you know. And then but we just did it off feeling, you know. And then I had a bit of success with that, and then I had a bit of success with Ziggy. But then that was funny. Like once I learned all this stuff, I got a bit clouded, and then I went into tunnel vision, and I was like, and that's like for people that don't know, like Brandon and I stopped making music together, and we actually kind of like had the chemistry was bad because that song actually, as much as it was a blessing, was kind of a curse because we were like, oh, now there's like a career, like, and we like kind of panicked. We were like, oh, people like this, so we need to do stuff like this, and it stopped being about the feeling, you know. And that for anybody that's having a little bit of success right now, don't get caught up in the like, oh, there's no formula to this shit. It's just like what feels good. I know that sounds really stupid, but it's like you just have to do what feels good, and we stopped doing that, and that really fucked me and fucked me up, and it even ended up fucking me and Ziggy up. And it's like, but it's good now, and I'm older, and I learned those lessons, and now it's like, now I've got Marley, and I can kind of help him not go through that same thing, which is really awesome. But yeah, sorry, I don't know how we got into that, but
we were talking about because the consumer, because there's times where I've been a consumer, and
that's
like,
right. And
one of my favorite songs is like, everyone's like, or whoever's created, they're like, no, you should like this song. Did you not hear the structure and the songs and the ad? And I'm like, bro, yeah, that's all good or no, but this one hits different. This one hits different.
I know, exactly. And sorry to not. Sorry for the segue.
That worked well, yeah.
But it's bottom line is like, it's just about feeling. It doesn't matter. Someone can use like, or you can use the best preamp or the best compressor or this and that. But at the end of the day, like, you know, I have a Neumann U87. If anyone who's in audio knows that is, a $3,500 mic. I have an Apollo X4. It's $3,500. I have like really good shit now. Juice was made on a complete audio face. It's $300, and a mic that was $150. It's the day. So it's like
bedroom. At the
end of the day, you can make it happen with however. And obviously, not saying that me upgrading to that stuff is a waste, because it's like, I'm passionate about that stuff, and I want to, make a better product, and I can, because I'm doing work and I can afford that and whatnot. But I'm just saying, it's not you don't need all this stuff, and it's just what feels good. If it feels good, and if you can be honest with yourself or whether it feels good. Some people don't have that ability. Like some people, the only people I say that music isn't for you is when you really struggle to actually have that intuition. But you know, and that's fine. But yeah, that's all you need to do. Then so that's what you're saying. Like, oh, this just feels good to me. It's exactly what it is. It's not about like this and that or what drum kit you used or what this you used.
Or
like,
what even the person is saying.
You know, yeah, no, exactly. Dude, Juice is like, get down. Like, bro, like, I don't know. People want to hear it at a party. Like, my parents want to put that shit on. Like, it's like, you know, they're like, you know, in their mid 50s and 60s, and it's like.
While we're on the topic of feelings, what are your feelings on 2020 so far? Like, it's coming to an end.
Best year of my life.
Sheesh. Please, let's go, because I feel the same way. And we haven't talked about this. Let's go. Let's dive into this.
I don't know. I just like I'm very grateful. I don't know. I was already grateful. Like, you know, I went over east for a little while, and you know, this is when I was kind of in my tunnel vision, and I don't regret that at all or anything like that. But you know, I sort of was. I wasn't excited about music, and I realized that I was doing a lot of things off thinking what I should do rather than what I really wanted. And now I'm in a place where I'm sort of like, I don't know, I'm like I said, I'm content, but I'm also I feel very lucky. I don't know, I just feel very lucky. It's like with my situation and what I'm doing, and so it's a great place to be. And like it just when everything's a bonus, like especially when we went into our lockdown wasn't really a lockdown, but you know, and it was like I was just like, cool, here's me and my studio, and I'm like, this is it. Like, this is it.
Back to basics.
This is it. Square one was good. So if your square one is good, and a lot of people's square ones aren't good, and it's not their fault, and that's, you know, that sucks. But you know, for me, I can't control that, but all I can control is my gratitude towards what I have, and it's like, fuck, like, so that's why it's been the best year of my life, and I've just achieved things, and I'm really good at managing my expectations, and like everything's a win. So that's why it's been a good year. What about you?
I feel much of the same, bro. This year's tested me. Like, went from, I think we've had this chat from like, finished 2019. 2019 was fucking huge. And we're like, yes, we broke through. We got this on lock. 2020 is our year. And like, managing expectations.
And it like got taken away.
It got taken away like this.
This is the first episode. I was like, I had a day. Like, you know, I had to, you know, but then you just.
But like when like adversary or like conflict comes up, you either like kick into gear or you fall back. And like I'm a fighter, bro.
Survival
I
of the
go
fittest.
down swinging. So like this year's forced, I guess, us to think the industry differently, to diversify where we're putting our time and effort, because otherwise, we'd be screwed. If we were anything like Sydney or Melbourne, being in lockdown for that long, I would have been screwed financially. No cap. Like, if we went in Australia, I don't know what the fuck I'd be doing right now. Because most of my values are attached to, I guess, things that require community. And once you get rid of community, it's like, what do I have to fall back on? It really made me question, like, if this doesn't work, or if this was an option, what would I really be doing? And it really forced me to really like dig deep and question and ask myself, what do I really want to do? Is this the space I want to be? Am I going to be happy operating in this space? And crazy or not, I decided not to get a 9-to-5 for stability. I just doubled down, and I was like, fuck it. If I'm going to like, if I'm going to die, or if this shit breaks me, at least I'll know early. Like, fail hard and fail fast and fail early, so you know and learn from it, so that you can then make better decisions in future. So I looked at it like, I'm young, I'm mid-20s. Like, this is the time to take risks. This is the time to see where it pushes me. Worst case scenario, I'll go move back to my mom's house. Like, you know, like, things are deep. I'm grateful to be able to have that option. But it's like, take the risks. You live one life. Like, do what you love and like pursue it like relentlessly. That's all I learned this year. It helped me stop being, because I have a lot of interests and I had so many things I wanted to do, but it was like, okay, I really need to figure out what's important, what really is going to fulfill my cup and like make me happy. And that's what I've done. So that's what I'm most thankful for 2020 for that realization of like, I'm in the space I want to be. The direction is not completely clear, the destination's not completely clear, but like I'm enjoying the journey.
You're on the steps.
Yeah.
You're on the steps.
I'm on the steps. So that's why 2020 has been like a good year for me, because now my parents are off my back to use my degree. Yeah, facts. That was the biggest thing. My parents are off my back because I was like, look, if I was working in a 9 to 5, I wouldn't have a job. Like, I wouldn't be making money. Like, I wouldn't be able to survive and put food on the table for myself and all these other things. And like, once they realize that, cool, it's not the traditional route, but it's working for him, they kind of like took, a step back and like, let's just see what he does. Like, he's made it so far so good this far. Let's just allow him to do his thing. So like, that's my biggest, I guess, accomplishment of 2020. Like that feeling of like finding your purpose and your direction and where you want to go. So
on that note, I think we've come to a same crossroad in the path, which is good. I think that's
I love this. Me and you have like parallel journeys that intersect at the right times always. Like it's fucking mind blowing.
Phenomenal. Yeah. Well, on that note, I think
we ended on that.
That's good, man.
Because like otherwise it's gonna drag.
But yeah. Anyway, as always, let us know what you think.
We'll see you guys in 2021.
Yeah, we will.
Yeah. We will post more regularly.
We will. Yeah, it's just we got busy, but we're back on it. This was too much fun. I need to do this again.
Yeah, like the adrenaline is just fucking.
Let us know
pumping.
what you want to see. If there's guests, certain topics, like try. I mean, it's all on us as well. We need to make sure we engage with you guys more as well, and we will try more. But yeah, don't feel free to like message on the page or message us personally, and we're always here. We're very interested, invested in this scene and what's going on, and yeah. Thanks again. And
it's been a hell of a drive.
Peace.
Shout out to Dylan one time.
Yeah, Dylan.
Behind the camera.
Gotta get him back.